If your cow spends its entire life waiting for you to do something, while you're doing the opposite every day without even realizing it, you're not alone in this quiet tragedy. Most ranchers believe with every fiber of their being that they're doing everything right. They keep the water tanks clean, the hay rings full, the vaccination schedule on point. They check the fences after every storm and know each animal by its ear tag number. And yet, beneath the surface of this diligent care, your cow silently needs you to do certain things that are almost never mentioned at the feed store, in the veterinary supply catalog, or around the sale barn coffee pot. And the silence around you, that vast, unspoken gulf between what you provide and what your cow actually requires for her emotional well-being, is slowly, inexorably making you lose the very gentleness and trust you thought you had spent years building. Please read on, because after taking in these words and watching the accompanying video, you will see your cow in a way you've never seen before. You will look past the familiar hide pattern and the ear tag and see a sentient being with a rich, complex inner world that has been quietly pleading with you all along. Welcome here. If you're new to this way of thinking, to this deeper level of stockmanship that goes beyond pounds and production, please subscribe now. We'll be releasing videos on a regular basis to help you truly understand what your cow is really trying to tell you with every flick of her ear, every shift of her weight, every low, rumbling vocalization. And today's video is one of the most important videos we've ever made. It cuts to the very heart of the human-animal bond in agriculture. That's why this is so hard to accept for those of us who pride ourselves on being good stewards of the land and the animals on it. These things aren't complicated. They don't require expensive new equipment or fancy handling systems. They're not expensive, and they don't take much time out of your already overburdened day. But if you keep making these simple, fundamental mistakes, and the uncomfortable truth is that most ranchers make these mistakes without any clue they are doing so, your cow will start to lose faith in you. She will begin to believe, deep in her bovine bones, that you will never truly understand her. And a cow that has lost faith in her human handler won't express her anger by charging the gate or lowering her head in defiance. That would be too obvious, too easy to spot and correct. Instead, she will express it with a slow, creeping silence. It will approach the fence less often when you pull up in the truck. Its eyes will no longer follow your every movement across the lot with that soft, curious gaze. It will simply stand there, chewing its cud mechanically, emotionally flat-lined. And by the time most ranchers notice this subtle, devastating withdrawal, years have passed. The bond has atrophied from neglect, not from malice. This is the first thing your cow has always longed for, the foundational element of a secure bovine life that we so often overlook in our quest for efficiency. **1. Give them a space that truly belongs to them. **. Do your cows consistently wander to the very back of the barn, as far from the main alleyway as possible? Do they seek out and hide themselves in the deep, cool shadows cast by the feed trough or a piece of idle machinery? Or do you find a single animal standing alone, nose pointed into a corner, seemingly disconnected from the rest of the herd? When the surroundings become noisy or chaotic, perhaps during feeding time, a thunderstorm, or when unfamiliar people are working in a lot, do you observe this retreat behavior? And what is your immediate, instinctual response? Do you herd them out of that corner? Do you push them back into the open because you think it's time to put them in the trough or bring them up for milking? Most ranchers do this, interpreting the animal's retreat as normal daily management or, worse, as simple stubbornness to be overcome. But at that precise moment, your cows aren't slacking off or being difficult. They're simply seeking something primal and essential, and with every push and shoo, you've taken it away from them. The ancestors of modern cattle were animals that alternated between the vulnerability of open ground and the sanctuary of shelter for survival. For survival, it wasn't an occasional need or a luxury. For wild bovines, shelter, whether a thicket of trees, a rocky overhang, or a deep ravine, wasn't a luxury. It was the stark, life-or-death distinction between security and the paralyzing anxiety of constant exposure. This deeply encoded instinct hasn't disappeared just because we've domesticated them over thousands of years. Even if your cows are accustomed to open, free-range barns or large, windswept pastures, that primal need for a retreat remains. Every moment they experience in a completely exposed environment harbors a low-level anxiety about exposure, a vigilance that never fully rests. A compelling study published in a respected journal Applied Animal Behavioral Science found that dairy cows which could autonomously choose to enter sheltered, deeply bedded resting areas whenever they felt the need exhibited significantly lower cortisol levels. Cortisol is a glucocorticoid hormone directly related to chronic stress, and elevated levels are a well-established marker of poor welfare. In stark contrast, cows that were forcibly confined to completely open lots or unselectable spaces with no opportunity for retreat showed the physiological wear and tear of constant, low-grade stress. This isn't a mere comfort preference. It's an innate biological need for cattle. Now, I want you to honestly look around your ranch, your feedlot, your dairy barn. If your cow has no place that truly belongs to it, no designated corner to hide from the relentless bullying of a more dominant herdmate, no place to lie down peacefully without being chased off or stepped on, then every tense moment on the ranch is a silent, internal storm for that animal. Your cow is enduring it all alone, with no way to communicate her distress. Standing facing the corner isn't stubbornness or stupidity. It's simply doing what every ancient instinct in her body drives her to do: reduce visual stimuli and create the illusion of a barrier. A simple windbreak made of used plywood, a few large round bales of hay pushed against a wall, or a thick, comfortable bedding area that holds the familiar, comforting scent of her companions. That's enough. That's truly all it takes. When cows have access to such a space, a place that truly belongs to them, things change in ways that are both subtle and profound. They no longer pace anxiously along the fence line. They begin to lie down and ruminate calmly, even when you approach to do your daily checks. Because calmness requires a foundation of security, and security requires a corner of its own to retreat to. If you're surprised by this, if this is the first time you're hearing about the importance of a bovine bedroom, please read on. Because what I'm about to say next is precisely why so many cattle experience chronic, unexplained stress reactions. Their owners, good and well-meaning people, never realize what they've done wrong. ****. 2. Don't touch them without their permission. ****. Think about this honestly, with the raw truthfulness of a stockman who wants to improve. When your cow is standing quietly in her yoke or headlock, do you casually pat her forehead or slap her neck as you walk by? When they're lying down in the straw, peacefully ruminating, do you instinctively nudge their back with your boot or give them a little push as you pass by? Of course you do. It's almost reflexive. You know your herd well, or at least you think you do. But from their perspective, from the viewpoint of a 1,400-pound prey animal with a panoramic field of vision and a deep-seated wariness of sudden movements, that moment is very different. Cows have a concept that behavioral researchers call personal space and autonomy, and it's far more important to them than most ranchers could ever realize. Every single time you make sudden, unannounced physical contact without their implicit consent, especially in their blind spots directly behind or above them, you are contributing a small, seemingly insignificant brick to a psychological wall called **** learn helplessness. **** 1 or 2 times isn't a big deal. The cow flinches, you move on. But a dozen or more unannounced pats, pushes, and shoves every single day, week after week, month after month, will condition your cows to feel like their bodies don't belong to them. They will learn that their subtle signals of avoidance, the ears flattening back, the tail clamping down, the muscles tensing under the skin, are not understood or are simply ignored. The important thing, from their learned perspective, is that the human will do what the human wants to do, regardless of how they try to communicate their discomfort. Veterinary research in the field of animal welfare science has found that cattle given more alertness and choice in their interactions with their handlers, those who are given a verbal cue or allowed to see the handler's approach before being touched, exhibit significantly less kicking, avoidance behavior, and stress-induced vocalizations. They also develop a stronger, more resilient trust in humans compared to cattle that are subjected to forced interactions and frequent, unpredictable sudden touching. Science shows what most ranchers don't want to hear: familiarity doesn't necessarily mean affection. Just because a cow tolerates your presence doesn't mean she feels safe or understood. Rhythm and alertness are the keys to unlocking a true partnership. So, what do cattle actually look like when they extend an invitation? It is a beautiful, subtle dance if you know what to look for. It's them that proactively approach the fence line, standing quietly and waiting for you without being called. It's them that gently touch the back of your outstretched hand with their wet, inquisitive noses, investigating your scent. It's them that, while being brushed, lean their full body weight into the brush, seeking more pressure. It's them that, when you squat down to their level, voluntarily lower their massive heads to let you stroke their broad foreheads. These are all invitations. This is your cows actively choosing to accept you into their world. Everything else, every sudden, unannounced reach of yours, is you making a decision for them, and it carries a hidden cost to their trust. The hardest part isn't knowing this information. The hardest part is doing it. It requires a new kind of discipline. When your cows aren't looking at you, Control your hand that instinctively wants to reach out and touch them. Watch them lie down to rest, and instead of immediately going over to disturb that peace, just observe. It feels like restraining a natural habit, and it is. But the moment you stop touching them without warning, the moment you start letting them come to you on their own terms, that's when a new kind of relationship arrives. That's when true trust begins to take root.